I am pleased to present the unique and happy story of my great-grandfather David Roth. David Roth was born on September 25, 1902 to Samuel and Miriam Roth. He had 4 siblings, Max, Abraham, Helen, and Lena. David's family lived in a small shtetl in Zangush, Poland. It was small and cramped, but it was home. In 1912, David's father, Samuel Roth, left Poland by himself and took a boat to the United States in order to make enough money to bring his entire family to the USA. Samuel definitely made his mark. Samuel was one of the founders of a Hasidic temple, which is still in existence today in Youngstown, Ohio. When David was 13, he had his bar mitzvah in Poland. His father was in the United States, so his mother asked the local rabbi what David should do now that he was a man. The rabbi said the town needed a sheet metal man because there were a lot of tin roofs in the town that needed work. So David was sent to another town to live with a sheet metal journeyman so he could learn the trade. In 1914, World War I started, and David's family was caught in the middle of the fighting and decided they had to leave to escape being caught in the middle of the battle. They had a wagon, but unfortunately no horse. So David went out and found a lame horse that one of the armies had abandoned, nursed it back to health, hitched it to the wagon, and David, his mother, 2 brothers, and 2 sisters left on the wagon for Czechoslovakia. On the way, David got very sick since he was sleeping under the wagon at night so his mother and siblings could sleep on the wagon. They stopped at a little town and asked for help. A man came out and poured whiskey into David's mouth and he got better. The family arrived in Czechoslovakia and spent the rest of the war there until it ended in 1918. They returned to Poland and sold their house so they could leave for the United States. During this period, the Russian Cossacks were invading Poland and drafting every able-bodied young man into their army for 20 years. David's mother sent him to Antwerp, Belgium, and he left for the United States 6 months before the rest of the family, so he would not be drafted for 20 years. Samuel had finally earned enough money to bring his family to live in the United States. The family rejoiced and started packing the little belongings they owned. David and his family met a lot of kind people that helped them adjust to America. One of the people he met on the way to Ohio was a young woman named Pauline Fish. They became fast friends. The entire family arrived in the U.S. on New Year's Day, 1921. They moved into a small home for them to live in. David's father had a horse and wagon and collected scrap, rags, paper, and other recyclables, and that is how he made his living. In 1923, David borrowed $500 from a local bank and started his own company called Dave Roth Roofing. In 1926, his younger brother Abraham joined him and the company name was changed to Roth Brothers. The company is still called that and is celebrating its 90th year anniversary this year. In February 1937, David married Pauline. They settled into their house on 140 New York Avenue. They had 3 children. Firstborn Sanford in 1938, Samuel, my grandfather, born in 1941, and Karen, born in 1944. In 1946, David and Pauline applied to sponsor Jews from Poland, their relatives, to come and live in the United States. They were able to help 8 relatives come from Poland to America. They housed them and helped them make a living. This document that shows quite a lot about David and his family, how he lived, where he lived, and his company. It shows that he was ready and financially stable enough to support their alien relatives that were to come to America. It stated how David was responsible for the well-being of their relatives. My Grandpa Sam became the successor to David. He ran the Roth Brothers for another 30 years after David retired before selling the company and comfortably retiring with his wife Terry. Dad, do you have any memories of your Grandpa Dave?
Yes, we would go there every Friday night for dinner, and my dad would meet us, and they both worked together. My dad worked at the same company at Roth Brothers, and we'd go there Friday nights for dinner, and then Grandpa Dave would usually show up a little bit later, as he was always working and working very hard. And we always have a very nice Shabbat dinner there.
Years passed. Sanford, Sam, and Karen grew up. David retired. Sam married and had a family. He had my dad and his sisters. And my dad married my mom and had my siblings and I. David's bravery is what brought the Roth family to America. He is the reason I am here today. David died on April 7, 1981. He had lived a long and fulfilling life. He was and is greatly missed. My great-grandfather was described as a solemn man, solemn but devoted. There is rarely a time when he was not working. He worked very hard in order to have his family succeed. Learning about my great-grandfather has helped me learn more about myself and where I came from. I can now look at my family and understand the hardships and the celebrations that were underwent in order for my family to be here. I am just glad that every step my great-grandfather took brought him closer to me.